What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Investing Bros live show. It is 3 p.m. and we have got a whole lot to talk about today. Pick your poison. Almost every single crypto is pumping today. I see a couple of them that are technically within the red since the daily candle has opened, but that is very, very few. And a lot of you are probably wondering, what is causing this pump and how much higher could that pump get? We're going to talk about all of that in this show and more. And we're going to be asking the question, when it comes to Bitcoin, could we legitimately see a $60,000 Bitcoin coming our way very, very soon? Go ahead, even before we give you the answer to that, let me know in chat, what are you guys thinking? Is this a phenomenal bull run that is going to continue? Is this a bull trap? I've seen some people over on Twitter saying that people need to watch out because this could be a massive bull trap happening. Or is it legit? And what are your price targets you're looking at before the momentum slows down and we at least trade sideways, if not have a correction in some way? I'm interested to see what your guys' predictions are. I am joined by my amazing co-host, Mr. T. Shroom from down there in Gainesville, Florida. T. Shroom, how are you feeling today?
Well, Tim, I got to be honest with you. I'm feeling better than I deserve. Today of all days, we're seeing asset prices, crypto asset prices specifically, move up and to the right in quite an aggressive way. And I'm loving it, Tim. I don't know how you're feeling. I'm feeling like I'm on cloud nine. I'm having to try to suppress my energy, try to suppress my excitement, because overall, things are really great. But these are the times that sometimes things can get away from us. So that's what we're going to try to do today in this episode: is try to level set. Take a sober, deep breath, rejoice, celebrate, but also remember kind of how far we've come and where we're going. I've got a quote of the day here. In the bad times, choose to grow stronger. In the good times, choose to enjoy life fully. And in all times, choose to be grateful. They're from nobody in particular, but that is exceptional advice coming in today for these good times. Tim, what do you think about that one?
I think it's phenomenal. I've seen a lot of conversation about that on, different videos I'll watch, different conversations I'll follow via Twitter or other places. Does it make you happier to be wealthy? Does it make you happier to be rich? And it's, the easy side of that is literally saying, there's a lot of things you can do that bring joy and happiness. Joy is probably the wrong word there. There's a lot of things you could bring happiness to you when you have money. But ultimately, I am a strong believer, if you're not good enough without something, you'll never be good enough with something. Your value and your joy should not be rooted in your circumstances, rather a state of mind. And ultimately, gratefulness is that characteristic that defines you as a person. We've said this before on the show, but scientists have found that the part of your brain that registers stress and registers anxiety is the exact same part of your brain that registers gratefulness. And they can't be both. You can't be anxious and grateful at the same time. Your brain has to choose one. So if you can work to develop the ability to keep yourself in a state of gratitude at all times, no matter your circumstances, you will not be stressed. You will not have anxiety. You will have a rich, fulfilled life. And I'm also, T-Shirt, I don't know about you. I want to hear more about your thoughts. I'm a big believer in affirmations and positivity. I don't believe there's something like necessarily magical that if you're just overly positive, that everything in your life's going to go positive. But more often than not, the people I know who are just positive about everything, no matter whether they're going through hardships or good things, their life seems to go better than people who are always looking for some reason to complain about something. I don't know. Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. I think if you're looking for the silver lining constantly, that is going to not only affect your life positively, but it's also going to affect the lives of those around you positively, which then turns into a positive feedback loop because those people are going to be positive. They're going to be positive around you. And so it's really good. Another thing, in addition to being positive, is being disciplined and having accountability. Because you can be as positive as you want, like Jerome Powell being very positive when he comes up at the press conference. But if the world is on fire around you, that is not going to end well. That is called denial, right? So just because you are thinking positively doesn't mean that things are going to go well. It's just when things are not going well, you want to be that voice of positivity, of strength, and consistency. And if things are going crazy, if there's chaos all around you, you want to be that voice of calm, but you also want to take preventative steps so that chaos does not come to your door in the first place.
I'll tell you what, T-Shroom, the crypto community today must be extremely positive and grateful, because even as we're speaking, go ahead and share my screen. We're pumping to 54. We touched 54.8 here a second ago. And this stream's going to be a place because we're moving. Things are like stories are breaking while we're live. I'm so glad we're live here at 3 p.m. because a lot of stuff's going to happen during this show. So you guys found the right channel. Strap on in, stay around. Crossing, we're looking to get to above 55,000. I did tell our community a while ago, if we break through 53, there was this yellow line here, a long trending yellow line of resistance. I want you guys to know how bullish this really is. We're breaking through that as we speak. Lower time frames, we're definitely above that line. But on the longer time frames, I told you guys, 53 to me was a level of resistance that needed to be cleared. We did reject at it here a couple of days ago. But as we keep moving above it, I'm not expecting a real break until closer towards 57. Yeah, we might get some hesitancy. 55,000 is going to be a psychological level. 56 is going to be a psychological level. Let's take a look here at the fixed range volume profile on Bitcoin in the macro. And I told you guys, again, gap right here at 53. We rejected on it a couple of times, so that showed you that strong resistance. Didn't have massive pullback, but a little pullback. But now that we're climbing this hill, you can see that white dotted line. You can see here the next level of significance is not 55,000. It's not 56,000. It's actually all the way up here above 57,000. Then, that's the fixed range volume. We're not even breaking into the special stuff. We're just using the generic old trading view stuff. Let's look at Fibonacci levels. Go from that high down to the bear market lows. Take a look at the next significant Fibonacci level, the platinum pocket coming in above 57,500. Which begs the question, as you move up here, the top of it's coming up to 63,000 almost, the high we had way back in the spring of 2021. Could we see the $60,000 price action here very soon? I'm keeping my eye on that 57. There's a chance that we hesitate there. But ultimately, I would not be surprised to see a bullish push up even all the way to $60,000 before we see hesitancy. I have some more opinions there. I still have, this concept in the back of my mind that healthy rallies have healthy pullbacks. Whether or not we ever see a 40% pullback ever again, or at least anytime soon, I would not be surprised still to see a couple more 10, 20% pullbacks, just like we saw here a couple of weeks ago. But T-Shroom, before we cover some of those details, what are your thoughts? You're seeing these charts. Of course, everything else is pumping well. Coinbase up 17%. We're going to talk about them. They have some potential news. I almost made a Theta video today. Like today I made an Ethereum video, which it was a good video. Go check out my Ethereum video. I give a price prediction for where that's going to go. But I literally sat there wrestling myself. I'm like, should I make a Theta video? Because I left that one out of my video a couple days ago. I was like, nah, I'll cover that in the future, a couple days from now. Theta up over 20% today since I decided not to make that video. We are very, very bullish today, T-Shroom. Tell me about what's going on in your between your two ears right now.
Well, Tim, there's one thing going on in between my ears, and it's the constant chanting of the name Clean Spark. Clean Spark.
Oh, that's another
Clean
one. Yeah.
Spark. Clean Spark. 27% to the upside. It's not showing any signs of slowing down. It's kind of crazy. Let's go down. Let's go out to the weekly to get a little bit of context on this name. We don't cover the miners as much as we should here, but you see a test down at the midline of the Bollinger Band here, mid-January, mid to late January. And since then, we have just seen a 215% climb from Clean Spark since January 22nd. So while Bitcoin is absolutely melting faces, Clean Spark is going to hell melting the whole body. Marathon not too far behind, up 23.8% today. So seeing a decent rotation, another face melting rotation into Marathon. Bitfarms up 21%, that ticker BitF. So the Bitcoin miners are coming back in stride. To be honest with you, the dip that they had was not even, it was not even much of a dip, right? It was barely a dip. You could barely even call it a dip. But right now, it's all about the miners. And if you live in the United States and you have not allocated to the miners, today's not the day to buy. We want to wait for some lower prices, right? But those miners are going to be rewarding investors. Piper and I have talked about it. You can usually clock in those miners at around 2 to even 4x what Bitcoin will do on spot. So I'm bullish on the miners. I'm continuing to buy them. And I know that Caleb Franzen, sometimes he'll tune in. I know he's been watching them and buying them too. So to the chagrin of the Bitcoin bears out there, which is
I was going to
quite
say,
nice to see.
I love the way Caleb Franzen handles. He's not like a troll. Like Caleb Franzen doesn't like try to attack people, but he has no problem going back and forth with the trolls. By the way, we just touched above 54.9. We are definitely going to see 55K here. Our high officially 54,980. We have gotten within $20 of 55,000. We're going to see that happen here. Here's what we'll go and continue to talk about this again. You guys know historically, I've said this so many times, but historically, we have not seen less than a 40% pullback on Bitcoin pre-halving. We're coming in around the 60-day mark, meaning we have 60 days or so from the halving event, which gives it a lot of time for pullbacks. But I will say the window is closing because we also traditionally begin to rally days before the halving event as well. Let's just take a look here. Even if we don't get a 40% pullback, when T-Shroom says, hey, you don't want to be buying necessarily on these crazy pumps, you want to look for pullbacks. I think the magic number for me, if I was to say a safe number, I still believe a 20% pullback would come at a certain point in time. Now, will that be from here at 57.5, in which case we're talking about a potential move back down to a former resistance level down here towards $46,000? That could make a lot of sense. Do we potentially make that push up to 60K? And now we're talking about a 20% loss, maybe down closer to only the 48 level. Are we going higher than that? Are we making a move all the way to the 63 and we're only pulling back down closer to $50,000? Either way, definitely keep your eyes. If you guys are asking the question right now in chat, Tim or T-Shroom, when should I buy? If I shouldn't buy right now, when should I buy? I think there's a decent chance it goes more than 20, but I feel like 20% T-Shroom is a pretty safe expectation for a healthy pullback and would still be a higher low after a higher high, which means we're in a bull trend, bull market. I am sitting here coming to the realization as much as, my logical brain still wants to talk about 32,000 and the potential of it, the higher we go, obviously the harder it's going to be to have that big of a pullback. I mean, right now, again, the other day at 53, we were talking about 40% pullback, but right now, we would need a 40, it's not drastic, 41. If we get up here closer to 60, we're talking about closer to a 50% pullback. I'm just going to struggle to sit here and see a 50% pullback without some terrible news entering the crypto space. Institutions selling, some brand new accusation about how Bitcoin's going to ruin the planet. And then, of course, everyone somehow believes it. I just don't see the scenario at the moment of that happening.
You mean like what the ECB tried to do last week when they said Bitcoin, it should be fair valued at $0? You mean something like that? Some powerful, hard-hitting bud.
Someone actually has to believe the new. That's the other thing. I don't think it's going to be FUD. Like, it's going to have to be something very legitimate because just somebody come out. We've already had JP Morgan come out and say it shouldn't be valued anything. Of course, the EU central banks have come out and said it shouldn't be anything. Several powerful people around the world have come out. I'm not going to even say we're urging because it's more like begging, because that's what they're doing is they're begging people not to buy Bitcoin because they're absolutely terrified of it. And it's not working. It's going to have to be something catastrophic like a COVID situation, which, again, I don't think they're going to be able to fool us twice with the same type of thing. They're going to have to pull some sort of rabbit out of a hat. Yeah. Is it doable? Yeah, it's very doable. But the chances and the likelihood do seem to be coming to a more slim situation. With that said, though, I still want to tell people 20% is still very, very normal. We've already had it. Like back here, if you go to my chart, T-Shroom, in case anyone was wondering, we already had a nice 21% pullback within the last couple of weeks here in January. So to see another one happen, not necessarily out of this world. But I am seeing more positivity upside again. Now that we've cleared 53, watch for 50, again, 57 to 60K. Be very realistic target for the next couple of weeks for Bitcoin before a correction comes.
Now, Tim, you're getting a stern scolding from the chat today.
I know it.
BWA Nana Buluku, so everybody's favorite critic, has said, I'm leaving the chat because Tim don't like Bitcoin. He likes Link. Tim, your thoughts on this accusation?
I don't know what I said. I do like Link. I will say guilty as charged. Tim does like Link. Very, very true. I don't know where you could extract Tim does not like Bitcoin. I could understand if it was Tim don't like XRP, which, speaking of, guess what coin's really not pumping that much while everything else is happening?
Don't say it, Tim. Don't do it to him.
It's Optimism, actually. Just kidding. It's XRP as well. Yeah, Optimism down 2% on the day. Let's see what they're they're down on the daily candles. Yeah, even the 4-hour candles. Optimism not doing well today.
Optimism,
even the blue ones, blue candles, even on the 4-hour chart here.
What I'll say about Optimism, because there's some hodlers, that just started sweating, some Optimism hodlers. Stay optimistic on Optimism, because it kind of is similar to Link. Now, it doesn't echo Link. It doesn't move with Link. That's not what I'm saying here. But Optimism will move when it wants to move. It's one of those that kind of decides when it wants to move, like sovereign to the rest of the market. It's not just kind of under the cast of Bitcoin shadow. Now, that could potentially mean some bad things, that there's kind of it's easy to manipulate through from whale manipulation. Not saying that that's what that means. That's one way to interpret it. But ultimately, there's a lot of pumpage. There's not really much dumpage. There's some sideways movement in names. If you're in those names, don't sweat it. Have conviction and hodl on. Now, Piper.
No, I want to address something real quick, because I see 2 comments saying this. I want to make sure you guys understand. I'm not fudding Optimism. I'm pointing out that while everything is pumped today, it's not. But go to the screen real quick, because if I do this, if I just scroll and I looked at this 15-minute chart and I zoom in like this, yeah, it's really not that impressive of a chart, right? But as you zoom out here and you're looking at the 4-hour, you're zooming out. Maybe let's go out to the daily chart. Optimism's still a very impressive token, definitely still in my portfolio. So please do not take what we just said as saying that Optimism is nothing special. It just hit new, at least yearly highs. Is that new all-time highs here more recently?
It looks like
all-time highs here. It's
on Binance.
Doing its cool off. We talked about this before. Coins that pump cool off. Optimism pumped early. It's cooling off. The reason why, again, and I'm not trying to scare people and say sell all of your XRP, but that's not as bullish of a chart right there on XRP as Optimism. It's only up 1.45% today when everything else seems to be pumping. You literally, just come over here, guys. Look, when you go to news now, I love this art. If you guys don't use this website, you should. Just click on crypto. There's not a day that goes by
Tim's turning the knife.
I don't see one of these big stories be something bullish about Ripple or XRP.
Yeah.
Ripple moves out of character with actually, that's a bearish article. That's not really that bearish, because there's a miscalculation here on this. Anyway, you just every single day without fail, XRP always has some sort of bullish article in here, right? Not saying they're going to fail as a coin. Just why does the chart not look better than that? If everything's so bullish for them, why does the chart not look better than that? That's my point here. I'm scared. I don't hate XRP. I'm not going to say that no one loves XRP more than me, because that's a false statement, but I'm rooting for it. I wish XRP would do well. I'm rooting. I am just using my eyeballs on a chart. I'm looking at news. I'm hearing stories, and I'm sitting here saying, we should be doing better than this. And it's not just like the last week or 2 weeks that XRP has been struggling. It has been struggling to be impressive since of 2023. That's multiple months of sluggish, lagging price action.
Goodness. Well, Tim, sometimes we run the risk here at Investing Bros of spending too much time on XRP.
Oh, yeah,
we've done it before. Yeah. We'll likely be doing it again in the future. But here is a headline that came to me this morning, and it's been reported. Like, people aren't ignoring these headlines. It's just you're kind of getting a lot of you get inundated. Here's why Ripple Escrow unlocked 400,000 XRP outside of the monthly schedule. Not going to drill into the details of this one, guys, but that is not a good headline. It's a real headline, right? This isn't some scam. Like, that headline is all over crypto media. That's not. I see it on a lot of different providers there of news. So, another name we mentioned, JP Morgan. JP Morgan, a headline today. Now we're getting out of the XRP conversation with this one, but you mentioned JP Morgan, Tim. JP Morgan announces plans to offer actively managed Bitcoin fund to private wealth clients. Watch what they do, not what they say. We've said this before, and we're not the only ones that have said this. But that is, this is the way of Wall Street. These guys have been doing this stuff for as long as they've been alive, right? But then for generations, like since the Habsburgs, since the inception of the interest rate, there have been people tirelessly taking substances they have no business taking to be able to stay up later, to be able to think sharper, to be able to come up with ways to have an edge on the market. JP Morgan is doing nothing different here than the generations and generations of financial wealth managers shucking and jiving the market, saying one thing and doing another.
Yeah.
This, like, if you're shocked by that, you're not ready for the big leagues yet, which doesn't mean sell anything. It means you're a hodler. That's okay. But trading, swing trading, probably not going to be your cup of tea. Once you've watched the Investing Bros and similar channels like it, you're going to gain confidence in understanding how the market lies and how you can actually take advantage of that. That's one thing that bros really, really like about hanging out with us and joining our community, is they start to see the news for what it is. It's a tool for deciphering truth. They're not in the business of telling you the truth, but they are in the business of publishing it in the way that they want to publish it and the timing that they want to publish it. And we have some methods of deciphering what all that is and how you can make money off of it. And people really like it. Tim, I've got a chart I wanted to show you really quickly too.
Yeah.
Because while Bitcoin is going up and to the right quite precipitously, the NASDAQ, right now I'm looking at it, is flat on the day, moving into power hour. S&P down 0.2, Dow Jones flat on the day. But Bitcoin to the NASDAQ, or specifically the QQQ, which is an ETF of the NASDAQ, look at this chart here. So this one goes all the way back to 2021, right? This would have been the peak for Bitcoin. This isn't to the dollar. This isn't to treasuries, right? This is to the QQQ, so the stock market, right? And the growth sector of the stock market, to be specific. Look at this candlestick that we just got on the weekly chart, a definitive. It doesn't get much more definitive. You got this wick, testing, rejecting, you get a breather, you come back up. And even with NVIDIA shooting up by the amount that it did, adding basically 2.5 Airbnbs in market cap to its market cap, even with that amount of movement higher for the stock market, Bitcoin is going ahead.
Airbnb, like 2 Airbnb companies, not 2 Airbnb houses.
Correct. That is an important correction.
Yeah.
The entire company. What you take one of them, you double it, and then you take another one, you cut it in half, and you take one of those halves. NVIDIA added that much market cap to its company in 24 hours, according to the stock market when those earnings went live. Now, even with all that bullish pressure in the stock market, right, you're still seeing Bitcoin go ahead and confirm this historic downtrending line of resistance into support. Never been done, right?
Yeah.
Pre-halving, okay? This isn't you don't zoom out and see a higher level on this chart. Yeah. This is the high level at a time when the stock market is at all-time highs. Tim, it's almost like this Bitcoin thing is really catching on.
It's almost like people should look into getting some Bitcoin if they care about their future.
Yeah. It's something to look into, something to learn a little bit more about.
T-Shroom, this is going to be a great show already. Everybody, smash the like button if you're enjoying the show so far. We're about to get into the news portion. There's a lot to talk about. A lot of different factors going into the bullishness here today. Before we do, I have a transition conversation. Will be in like 2 minutes at most, T-Shroom.
Unacceptable.
I already put it in chat. I don't know if you saw the poll in chat. I am currently, today I was working to sign up for health insurance. It's one of the benefits of the job I have. But I'm looking at stuff. Dude, I'm telling you right now, this plan that like the cheapest plan it's offering me, when you include what I would pay every single month plus what I would have to pay in deductibles, we're talking about $15,000 every single year before a single penny gets spent from this insurance company. And of course, insurance companies then love to go fight why they shouldn't have to pay those pennies. I am very much feeling rage inside of me right now, T-Shroom, and I feel like health insurance is just one large scam. I voted yes in that poll. What about you, T-Shroom? What are your thoughts about health insurance these days?
Well, so I have the luxury of, I was in the Army. I'm not going to have TRICARE ongoing, but for now, they are still allowing me to be on TRICARE. Now, any day I could pretty much get dropped and have to go to the Obamacare website and live it up party style and start spending those Benjamins on to the government dollar. But there are alternatives to life insurance, and I'm trying to look them up. These are some of the providers that jump out.
Life insurance, health insurance.
I'm sorry, health insurance. So if you type in, and this is not completed information at all, but if you type in Dave Ramsey Health Insurance alternative, maybe if I type in insurance, you get these providers: Christian Health Ministry. Go.christianhealthquotes.com, which is unhelpful. Christian Health Share. Essentially, there's an alternative insurance scheme out there that I'm not endorsing by any means, because I have not entered into one because of the Army, but it's worth looking into. It's essentially a 401k. It's essentially kind of like an IRA where every month you're investing in it. You're just putting money in there, and if you do have to file a claim, they take your money first, I believe, and then there's an insurance kick. But if you never use it, that functions, that money, the principal just functions as an IRA, and you can invest it into Bitcoin ETFs. You can invest it into the S&P, the QQQ, whatever you want, gold ETFs, whatever you wanted to invest.
That sounds a lot better than these insurance policies. Yeah. Let me know in chat. Put in chat. There's a poll in there, but let me put in chat, like, comment what your thoughts about insurance are.
The catch is that this is by no means has the coverage network. Like, if you go to your local hospital, it is a much lower chance that you're going to be covered versus like a Blue Health, Blue Shield, or like one of the traditional health insurance providers. So that is something to keep in mind. Now, if you do the calculation and then a flight to Houston or wherever they have these in-network providers, if that's only going to be $300, it might be worth it, right? If you need some kind of life-saving surgery or something along those lines. So,
I'm confused by the super chat. We're not supposed to read it. I don't know. Well, it starts with says, "Please don't read this," which I already disobeyed. Chris, we'll find a way. Well, I'll reach out. It might be more complicated than that. There was another question before we get into stories. Another good question. I see a couple people talking about it, but Thug Nasty said, anyone know if I can buy Bitcoin within my company's 401k plan? Someone else said, try to use iTrust Capital. Start your own Roth IRA is much better. If you want to put your own money, by the way, we don't talk about that enough. Yeah, if you're somebody who's thinking, how do I get my Bitcoin without paying any taxes on it? I want you guys to know, T-Shroom and I will never, ever, ever, ever tell you to do something that is illegal and breaks the laws of the government, even if we disagree with those laws, which I disagree with a lot of laws that the U.S. government has. That being said, I will never disobey them unless I feel like it goes against morality. That being said, if you don't want to pay taxes, a Roth IRA through iTrust Capital is a way to get every penny of your Bitcoin gains without paying a single dime to the government. The question, though, that Thug Nasty asked is if there's a way to do it through your company. And I think he said someone else answered this, but I actually just helped my brother-in-law with this. Check into what you can do, but I know, for example, like this was a couple months ago, my brother-in-law was able to get into putting all his 401k into the GBDC, which of course GBDC now is not the hot topic. With that said, though, that's what those things, like, you have to check with your company, but there's a chance you can roll your 401k into things like the ETFs that are put out here now.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
There's definitely ways. There's definitely ways to get access to Bitcoin through there. I would be surprised if companies are offering accounts through iTrust Capital for their 401k.
I just did this. I got my 401k equivalent from the Army rolled into my Robinhood account. Honestly, pretty seamless. They still use the mail. They like mail you something and then you put it in an envelope and you mail it to another place. It's archaic, but it does work. And I immediately bought just CleanSpark. So, because I'm overexposed on BitX, which is the other, alternative, in my opinion, that's pretty decent on the stock market to get exposure to Bitcoin price action, not Bitcoin spot. These are not your keys. These are not your crypto, but you're getting exposure to the price movement. Any of the ETFs are pretty good. Hey, Tim, did you hear that ARK Invest 21 shares is the third largest spot Bitcoin ETF? Behind Fidelity, the two big ones, Fidelity and BlackRock.
I didn't. They always talk about the top two. They never talk about the top three. That's good to know. I'm rooting for ARK Invest.
Absolutely.
Real quick, we're going to get the stories here. Eric Wallen says, Tim, fun fact, you don't actually have to pay your medical bills.
Yeah.
I mean, there are circumstances that the answer to that actually is yes, but I'm not going to get into that here. Another one I saw here. Oh, Chris. And this goes for anyone. And again, we can't promise you we'll always get back to everything. But if you ever want to get a hold of me or T-Shroom, you want to know the best way to get a hold of us and have a conversation with us? Join the free Discord and reach out to us, and we can get a DM and we can talk to you about whatever you want to do. We can't promise that for forever, but at this point, T-Shroom and I try to have as many personal conversations, and there are so many people in chat that can verify that we love having private conversations, love one-on-one conversations with you guys to get to know us better, get to answer any questions you guys have. So reach out to us via Discord. And for a short time only, we'll try to get back to you.
Really quick. Oh,
there's somebody really quick.
We are not affiliated with Dave Ramsey at all, other than we are all brothers in Christ. But Dave Ramsey, I gave you guys a low grade kind of version of what is called a health savings account. Let me put some meat on the bones for you. So over on RamseySolutions.com, you can read more about what is an HSA, a health savings account. They give like a breakdown of what you need to qualify and all of this. But then you can go to the healthcare.gov, and under the glossary, you can look up health savings account. This is an official government ordained program. This isn't some like you have to get a business in Switzerland or you got to get a residency in Portugal. It's not it's not a loophole. This is just an alternative to health insurance through the government channels. But it's gonna be different again, and the coverage is going to be different. But this is something that Dave Ramsey does recommends, probably too strong of a word because he's not going to recommend it to everybody in every situation. But it's something to look into. Tim, in your infuriated state with health insurance, do you think you'd give this a check?
Maybe. I don't know. At this point, I just want to move out into the middle of the woods. And either I make it or I don't.
Yeah, be one of those TikTok influencers that you're by a creek, you use the water to like wash off a lamb leg, and then you just fry it over.
If you break a leg, smack it, just snap it back in, tape a stick to it, it'll heal. If you get a deep cut, rub some dirt in it.
That is the way to do it.
Simple insurance way of life. Yeah. It is already 3:30. We're almost halfway through. We're going to run a little bit past 4 probably, but let's get into some of these heavy hitting stories. The conversation has been great so far, and that's just the first half of the show. We haven't even gotten into the real meat and potatoes. Smack that like button right now. T-Shroom, why are we rallying today? Why is price just shooting through the roof right now? What's happening in the news?
Absolutely. Well, there's a couple of different reasons, but this is honestly a pretty decent summary here from CoinGape.com. Bitcoin surpasses 53K. What pushed the price today? So there's a couple of different things. What I have highlighted here, what I think is important is the following, is deadlines for a potential government shutdown loom. What government? The U.S. government. With a partial shutdown possible on the dates highlighted in green, March 1st, and full shutdown by March 8th. Those are around the corner. The market is closely watching these developments. President Joseph Biden, maybe you've heard of him, announcement of a meeting with congressional leaders on February 27th to discuss the situation and its implications for Ukraine adds a layer of geopolitical significance to the discussions, influencing investor sentiment and market dynamics. In case you are unfamiliar with the current election cycle, America is having an election this year, right? So this is going to play a big role. The stakes are high. This, if you're a big up-and-coming politician in America, this might be the year, this might be the government shutdown to take a stand and push it across the edge, push it across the threshold. Do not be fearful of these headlines. Do not be overcome by a spirit of fear, right? Operate with calm and balance. Do not be going crazy and doing a bunch of crazy stuff with your finances based on these headlines. If you are adequately exposed to Bitcoin, then you have the insurance policy you need, right? Not financial advice. If you have some gold, if you have some silver, right? If you have something outside of the U.S. stock market, you have probably the insurance policy you need. Now, obviously, that is not financial advice. If you have billions of dollars and you only have one Bitcoin, that, in my opinion, would not be adequate exposure. So you have to figure that out for yourself, right? Let's keep reading here. As per CoinShares, the market witnessed record inflows last week, totaling an astonishing 2.5 billion, pushing assets under management back to levels last seen in December 2021. The year-to-date inflows now stand at 5.2 billion, with the United States accounting for 99% of these inflows, amounting to 2.4 billion. So it's very significant. Another reason why Bitcoin may have gone up today, MicroStrategy's bought more, right?
Yeah.
3,000 Bitcoins now. Now, Tim, I have to be honest. The way I reported this morning, I said, MicroStrategy's bought the top again. They did not buy the top again. I retract that statement. I was wrong.
Yeah. Well, let's just go ahead and clear this for the future. MicroStrategy does not buy. Okay, Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy, when they want to buy Bitcoin, them buying Bitcoin has 0.0000% to do with the price of Bitcoin. It has 130% to do with, do they have money in their account? Is that money turned into Bitcoin yet? If the answer is no, that's why they're buying more Bitcoin. Michael Saylor has come out and said, I do not care what the price is. I will be buying Bitcoin for forever. I will be holding Bitcoin for forever. They'll buy tops. They'll buy bottoms. They'll buy middles. They're just going to keep on buying. And so far, it's working out for him pretty well.
I'd say so as well. We do tend to cover this, and MicroStrategies is they're still the largest corporate holder of Bitcoin, but the ETFs combined do now exceed the overall Bitcoin holdings for corporations. So it's starting to get a little bit interesting here in the Bitcoin wars. Who can get the most Bitcoin? It's overall extremely exciting. Now, taking a look at the weekly charts here for Coinbase. Coinbase doing really, really well. It's just put in essentially a cup and handle. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out on the weekly charts. If we drill in down to the daily, you can see this a little bit more pronounced. Was your boy T Shroom buying Coinbase down here? You absolutely are sure that he was, and I'm very glad that I did. Now, 15.5% to the upside here for Coinbase. What is all the fuss about? Well, we're going to have to turn to our buddy over at Dan Gabriello. How do you pronounce that, Tim?
Gambridello.
Dan Gambridello. Now, he said this, and this is a rumor, just so you're tracking. Crypto holder alert. An imminent decision on the Coinbase SEC case could happen any day. Crypto charts could become volatile. So here are the scenarios I'm anticipating and what I think may happen in each one. That's my Dan impression. How good is that? It's pretty bad. Judge Fiella grants Coinbase motion and completely dismisses the case. That's one way it could go. That would obviously be moon time for Coinbase. Judge approves the motion concerning the 13 tokens in question, but rejects it in terms of the staking service. Okay, so a shade of gray. Or 3, judge denies the Coinbase motion to dismiss, and it goes to discovery, a long process like the Ripple case. No bueno. Coinbase probably doesn't completely sell off, but ARK Invest did go ahead and divest not only of Coinbase, but of Robinhood as well, and that may have been why, because of the uncertainty here around this action. They want to say, let's take our profits in Coinbase, let's rotate into something else. AI is kind of on the come up. They're well diversified even outside of crypto. So this is something that the market is watching, and that's why you did see that sell off. But it ultimately formed a bullish cup and handle, right, for Coinbase. So there you go. That's that story, Tim. This is a rumor. Are you buying the rumor?
I mean, I think that it's playing in for the positivity. I think that it's a rumor that's positive, but I don't see this being a simple thing. I don't think, even what we've heard from Brian Armstrong, we're not expecting a simple solution. This is going to be long and drawn out because that's what the SEC does better than anything else it ever does. They're not good at winning, but they're amazing at drawing things out for a long, unprecedented time.
It's true.
And that is probably going to happen here at Coinbase as well. But it's good to see that be a factor. I'll be honest with you, of all the things that I think are pumping Bitcoin right now, I'm going to put the least amount of weight on that story. I do think, maybe I'll put a little bit less on the Michael Saylor one. But I think the others that are popping up here very, very much are part of it. And there's another reason it's not on that chart. Once you're done with that chart, once you're done with that article, I have another reason we can add to it as to why we're pumping, but I want to get through the article first.
So this tweet from Dan, I wasn't going to bring any more to light, but we can read on. So this is my speculation, Dan says, and really none of us know what will happen. However, I think it's clear that to most that the SEC is consistent in making conflicting statements and the law is not on their side. I'm hoping Judge F sees this as well. Though the price speculation is my own, I'd like to thank Meta Lawman for providing a lot of the education necessary to form this perspective. So, Dan, getting ahead of it, calling it out. I like it. Bringing the rumor out of the darkness into the light. It's definitely not considered to be true at this point. I mean, he's giving 3 options, so I guess that part is probably fairly accurate.
He wasn't saying it was gonna happen. He's saying there's a chance, like there is a chance this happens, which is true. Yeah. I think there's also a chance it doesn't. Nothing happens, and we just continue to go into oblivion there.
So we want to see the headline: Coinbase motion dismissed for their case against the SEC. That is the winning headline. Yeah. Train all your bots to buy 500 leverage Bitcoin on that headline. Just kidding. But that is essentially what the market's looking for. And Coinbase is going to probably, I don't know. Do you think it's exaggerated? It's an exaggeration to say that Coinbase could go test all-time highs if they got that headline?
How far are we away from all-time highs is a good question. Let's go look at that chart real quick. Go to my screen now. Let's go to the weekly here. pretty much opened at all-time highs is what it did. So, I mean, we'd have to rally another – did not push the button correctly. We'd have to rally 124%. I think it's going to take a little more than that story. But I think through the course of this bull market, with them having their hands in a lot of cookie jars, or rather other hands being in their cookie jar, I guess would be the best way to put it, especially with the ETFs kind of storing some of the money there. But yeah, with all the new people coming in, with the recent, and it wasn't the demise, but the handcuffs that were put on Binance, Coinbase is going to be, even through the lawsuit, the most attractive and easiest on-ramp for new crypto investors. Mm-hmm. I think that Robinhood is going to be there as well. The difference, though, obviously, that Coinbase will have that Robinhood doesn't, is that Coinbase will allow investors to get into a lot more altcoins versus when you get into Robinhood, you're really just talking about some of the big ones like Bitcoin, Ethereum. Yeah, not a lot. So I think Coinbase, to me, from a retail perspective, is the most attractive looking exchange. And then from the institutional section, they're continuing. Every time they want to store the money through ETFs, they're going to go and work through Coinbase for custody there. So I think Coinbase will hit new highs in this bull market. I could not tell you at this point, though, how high it gets, like what the level is. I just think it'll beat out that original starting point around $430.
Absolutely. And remember, just last week, Coinbase absolutely crushed its earnings, right? So it's bullish news on top of, well, it's potential bullish news with the this rumor, as it is right now, of the dismissal of its case against the SEC, on top of bullish fundamental news, which is its bottom line is growing. So that's very, very good. All right, well, Tim, I've dreaded this moment, but this is important to bring to the attention of the bros. We have some bad news. I don't know if you've seen this.
Do you want to do sandwiches then? Because I got some good news.
Oh, you got some good news.
It's one more reason for the pump. Do we want to go out of order here? I'll let you choose, teacher. This is completely in your camp. This other reason or bad news, and then we're going to quickly pacify the bad news with some more good news.
Well, the bad news is going to be very limited, and it's going to be limited to the Asian markets. Let's go ahead and jump into it real quick. And then
let's do the bad news.
Get back
let's get the bad news out of the way.
Yeah, and there's really not a silver lining with this one. Exit scam, ? Bitcoin exchange Bit4X shutters after 57 million mysteriously drawn. Now, this seems to be an ongoing situation, and given the nature of cryptocurrency and blockchain, likely if anybody is committing wide scale fraud here, which 57 million, that's wide scale on an entire exchange, it's going to be found out, at least some of it, right? Now, there's a chance that it's not, that these guys have been planning this and it's well executed without a single breadcrumb left behind. But this is not good because this is a Hong Kong exchange, right? It's headquartered in Hong Kong, and it has abruptly ceased all operation, leaving customers confused and apparently unable to access their funds as they wonder whether an exit scam has taken place. Names like Celsius, names like FTX come to mind here, guys. Yep. And this is, to add insult to injury, something is happening very soon. South Korean regulators and Gary Gensler are meeting to discuss NFTs and crypto ETFs, right? South Korea, remember, has been sluggish to kind of warm up to. They're just now warming up to the idea of kind of hearing their financial regulator hearing an argument for a spot Bitcoin ETF. They're that far back. They're that far behind. Now, Gary Gensler is going over there. And just a hop, skip, and a jump away from South Korea, it's more than a hop, skip, and jump, you have Hong Kong, a major Hong Kong exchange going down, and nobody knows why yet. This is an ongoing situation. So it gives Gary all the ammunition to say, hey, we passed it in U.S., because the U.S. is just, it's so bad. You guys shouldn't do it here. It's going to hurt all of your investors. Now, whether or not Gary does that, of course, I don't know. I'm not a fly on the wall with his life.
To be fair, T-Shirt,
what you got?
I'm trying to think of how to say this. Could this not actually be utilized by Gary Gensler and others? Because as much as Gary doesn't love it, Gary would rather Bitcoin exposure be through an ETF and regulated by a Securities and Exchange Commission than go through a centralized exchange, right? So this story is a downfall of a centralized exchange. Could this not actually be the incentive for Gary? Maybe Gary rides a win here and says, this is why we're so worried about security tokens. This is why we have to regulate them. It's so much better for us to offer these types of things through security exchanges like an ETF, rather than letting people just go around and buy them on centralized exchanges or decentralized exchanges, there's a chance this actually could be used to promote a South Korean ETF and say, look what happens over there when us and the government aren't involved. We need to be involved with making sure people are safe.
Yeah. Well, Tim, you're absolutely right. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I think that is the other way that this could be spun. Now leave it. I wouldn't, Gary's going to do what he's going to do, right? Whatever is breathing down his neck, telling him what to do, whatever entity, whatever interest that's going to be, this is dicey. The reality is that the South Korean market compared to the American financial markets is a drop in the bucket. I'm not just saying that. So it's likely it's not going to have some kind of huge ripple effect on Bitcoin anyway. But it'd be nice to see a group of people have financial freedom in South Korea. It's a very free nation, but they're kind of dragging their feet here on approving and upgrading that freedom for their citizens and for their investors, their investing folks. So overall, it's a little bit of weird timing here. Gary's over in Asia and Hong Kong has a big what looks to be like a scam, essentially a rug pull on an entire $57 million exchange. So that's, that'll be something we continue to monitor. If you've been affected by this, let us know in the chat, let us know in the comments. We'd like to hear kind of, what your experience has been so far. And, if you need to talk, like if you're having bad thoughts, if you're having dark thoughts, if you've been a victim of this, reach out to your friends and family. Get outside of your crypto world. There are definitely excellent groups in crypto. If you speak English, the Billy Goat Tales, the Giver's Gain community is an excellent community to kind of turn to if you are experiencing extreme loss. Our Discord, another good one. You rely on people. Don't make any hasty decisions that you're gonna regret. Just God is with you. You're gonna make it through this. There's gonna be a positive other side to this. You're gonna learn some lessons. You're gonna be stronger on the other side of this. Tim, that is going to bring us to the end of our stories here. Although Ada Ace is screaming out World Mobile Token. Let's take a look at that really quick.
Now it's time to go back to the one more reason for the pump. You can't slip this out from under me. We got to cover this.
Tim. Go for it.
This is the big stuff here. I saw Eric Wallen shout this out earlier. Ultimately, one of the other reasons why we have a pump going on right now is a nice short squeeze in play. In fact, we're nearing the end of the first leg of it. The question is, do we keep going or not? This is the Bitcoin high block capital chart right here. And we discussed this before. And I told you guys that if we break above 53, again, you can see all of that heavy liquidations we've kind of taken out. We took them out with steam, and there was an easy run up to the first level of hesitation is the wrong word. It's almost like the lull right here at 55,000. Now we didn't hit 55,000. We got within $20. We're back up at 54.5 right now after dropping down to lower $54,000 levels. But if we continue to move here, again, remember the levels we talked about earlier on the chart. We're backing them up with these short squeeze situations potentially, because the next bit of excitement comes in here above 55, 56, and begins to slow down as you cross 57 to about 57.6. Remember, that is the level that we looked at here in macro. I don't know why I'm on the daily chart. It said the platinum pockets coming in here at 57,600. That's exactly where the next lull comes in our liquidations. Now, remember I talked about a potential 20% pullback after those levels. And the number I gave you was roughly $46,000. Take a look at the liquidations below us. Yes, we have some that come even all the way down towards 41,000, but let's just take a look at the more serious stuff. Big bulk right here at 50K that slows down around where? 48,800. That was the first level I told you. But the most bearish one I gave you was right at about 46. Guess where all the liquidity stops and then you have a nice lull? $46,000. So with that said, this continues to back up what we talked about earlier with the charts. Potentially, we could still see a move. We broke above this yellow level of resistance, a move closer to 57.6, 57.7. We hit our platinum pocket, have a nice 20%, 25% pullback into this zone again that used to be resistance around 48,000 down to about 46,000. We're seeing that play out on our liquidations chart here as well. So that's kind of good and bad news. Good news, we could continue to pump to the upside. Bad news, there's definitely still a heavy precedence for a move back below 50,000 before the real bull market starts. And I keep saying real bull market. We're in a bull market, guys. We're in on definition, we've been in a bull market since we hit the bottom, and we did nothing but set higher highs and higher lows for the last year and some change. But I'm talking about where things just go parabolic and it seems like there's never a red day for days and days and weeks and weeks. That hasn't quite started yet, but we're getting very close.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Tim, we've got a factoid of the day for you. I'm curious to see how you will guess. But thank you so much. I think we've done a comprehensive job of covering this pump, bringing to you all the attention of why this is happening. Why is Bitcoin moving up, and why is it moving up so quickly? Well, because people are buying it, right? And there's not a lot of levels.
More people bought than sold today is the real reason why.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Tim. Well, we're going to get to the factoid of the day, and it is brought to you by Decrypted.tax. We had him on last week, Ernest. You loved him. You wanted him to come back. We're going to have him back on soon. But if you are still waiting to go ahead and get ahead of tax season, pull the trigger. Don't wait any longer. If you invested or traded crypto through a company or through as an individual, head on over to Decrypted.tax to use the same tax professionals that Tim and I use for our corporations and for our individual filings. You can get a free 60-minute consultation with the tax pros over there at Decrypted.tax. And if 25% off sounds good to you for your tax season expenses this year, then you're going to want to head on over to Decrypted.tax to make it happen. Tim, Germany has about 3,300 tons. Italy has about 2,450 tons. How much gold does the USA hold in reserves? Is it 5.5K, 3.8K, 14.1K, or 8.1K tons of gold?
I would imagine it's significantly more than those countries. So I'm going to start off by saying probably at least C, if not B, but I have no real idea. So I'm just going to wing it and say C.
Going C?
We're going to go with C, 14.
All right.
How many tons of gold are there in the world right now? I guess if I were to go look at, if I knew the ounces and I knew the price per ounce, I could do math, but that's just going to take me too long.
Let's let some people get their guesses in. I'll look up the total tonnage of gold on Earth. It'd be good to know this.
Zero, because it's all a lie.
Yeah.
No one owns any gold.
Yeah. This estimation from the USGS.gov. Man, if you can't trust the government, who can you trust, right? It's about 240,000 metric tons of gold, Tim. And
now they're saying 57,000 are still underground. We know it's there. It's just still underground.
Perhaps. I mean, if that's what it says, then yeah.
A lot of people saying B, and the fact that I'm seeing 200, I would imagine America has a hefty chunk, so it makes me think now B as well. I did say C, but now after seeing the total, are you gonna let me switch to 30 now that I've seen that?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. That's not how we do at the Investing Bros. There's no stop losses here on these factoids. Okay, Tim, you were wrong in the opposite direction.
It's only
D.
8.
Yeah. So the United States, according to Wikipedia, holds 8.1 metric tons of gold. Okay, 8.1, and then that is confirmed from Wikipedia. That is confirmed by TradeEconomics.com. 8.13, and then Germany and Italy are going to be runners up behind, in front of France, Russia, China, Switzerland, Japan, India, Netherlands, Turkey. You want me to read the whole list? Euro area, Taiwan, Portugal. One thing I did find interesting is that while the U.S. sovereign holds 8.1, the IMF, which is headquartered in Washington D.C., holds 2.8. So, I wouldn't add that to the U.S. total, but if stuff starts to go down, the IMF is in the U.S. Now, I don't know where they keep their gold. That might be an interesting question to ask. But if the fiat currencies are so valuable and they're not backed by gold, why hold gold, Tim?
To lie to people.
And it wouldn't have anything to do with deception, deceiving the masses. No, banks aren't in that kind of a business.
Good stuff. Well, you learned something new about gold. 8,000 tons.
Yeah. And as soon as we discover a planet out in space that's 80% gold, what do you think is going to happen to the price of gold? It's going to go to probably a quarter of its price.
Pretty heavy planet.
And then it would immediately become New World 2.0, right? As the Queen gives Christopher Columbus another terrific chunk of money to go build spaceships to go gather that gold and bring it back to the Earth. Whereas Bitcoin will be like, oh, 21 million coins, baby. That's a scarce number. That's a fixed supply. So
cool.
There you go.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, it is about 3:54. We've got some time here. We don't have to stop right at 4. I do have a meeting I have to jump into at 4:15, so we got to be done before then. But let's get into some Q&A. And we had a great – if you did not watch the Saturday show, first of all, you guys – the Saturday shows have for sure been some of the most entertaining and fun shows. And this week was right on schedule of being pretty phenomenal. We had some great questions. Not a single TA question. I think we got into the real stuff, like who we would fight, who T-Shum and I would fight if if we entered into a fight anytime soon. How many? I don't think we have to answer this. So while we're waiting for questions to pour in here, chart questions, generic questions, economy questions, personal questions, T-Shroom got asked and he never gave an answer. How many T-Shrooms would it take to defeat a silverback gorilla?
So a silverback gorilla, for context, I'll find a picture of it. Silverback gorilla. Okay,
Huge.
this is like in my search
Completely
history.
huge.
What was he? I did that last time. Silverback gorilla. There we go. So for those of you at home who are like, silverback gorilla, what is that? Is that a new coin? That is this animal here. That is this creature that would easily rip in half even probably the strongest person alive. So now we're asking the question, well, how many T-Shrooms until the silverback gorilla is the one who's defeated? My estimation would probably be at minimum 5 T-Shrooms. In my current level of fitness, it's probably going to need to be closer to 10 T-Shrooms. In my peak fitness, I'm talking about like right in the middle of OCS training, or actually 2 weeks after OCS training when my body had time to heal. That's probably when more of that 5 T-Shrooms would be the minimum to defeat a silverback gorilla. Now, Tim, what do you think about this?
I think it's low. I think it's going to take more. But I also want to know what is the strategy to end it all? I mean, I doubt you're going to be able to choke it out. I mean, yes, you're going to be competing, and we're also assuming these are rabid T-Shrooms, meaning they don't care about their life, they don't care about pain. Right. They're just going to go all out. I know that it has 2 good arms up front. It's going to grab 2 T-Shrooms and use those two T-Shrooms as weapons. That's what this gorilla. I've seen gorillas grab things and swing them when they're fighting. So you know that 2 of them are just going to be weapons for the gorilla. I'm going to put this in more of a 10 to 15 category. I see some people saying 42, 100. That's too many. Let's not insult T-Shroom like that. But I am going to put it in the tip-top shape T-Shroom at his foremost peak of human existence, at least 10. More realistically, closer to 15. And I think you got to go for the eyes, honestly. I think you got to go for eyes. You got to be careful, though, because you go into that category, those teeth those canines are crazy sharp and long.
Yeah.
And that jaw is powerful. You got to be careful, though. But I'm like, with no weapon, how do you put a gorilla down if you're not going for the eyes? Oh,
Tim. See, the thing is that you have to tap into your primal self. See, we can try to articulate in words a strategy, but really it's all about a feeling. You have to recede into your reptilian brain and just act, and just don't stop acting. And if you lose part of your arm, that is nothing. You let the pain continue to drive you, and you just whack it down with the nub. And ultimately, it's just a lot of whacking, a lot of subduing, right? And then 2 or 3 of yourselves jump onto the neck of the silverback and cause the python clench. And I think that is how you finish it off. I'm avoiding the eyes because of those teeth factor. I don't want to go against the hardest part of an animal, of a hardest part of any adversary. I want to go find the softest place. And yes, eyes are soft, but they're right adjacent to the hardest place. So I want to find, a better surface area where there's an average soft area, which is just the muscles, and just pound against the muscles, getting cheap shot after cheap shot, reserving as many T-Shrooms as possible until it's subdued, it's bloodied, and its corpse is ready to be finished off. You jump on, initiate the python clench.
I'm going to stick with 15. I'm going to stick with 15 as my answer, though.
15. This numbers keeps going up. Is my strategy?
No, I said 10 to 15. I said 10 to 15, and I'm going to stick with 15. Let's get into the questions. Chat, let us know. What do you think? Some of you have voted already. How many T-Shrooms to kill a silverback gorilla? And PETA, hopefully you're not listening into this. YouTube. Let's go back to a question asked earlier. Bedrin said 100. Let's go back to World Mobile Token. Ada Ace thought we forgot about him. He thought that we were not going to talk about World Mobile Token, and that's jokes upon you. Now these lines are insignificant. I'm gonna get rid of them because they're not doing anything for us.
Tim, before we dive in real quick, World Mobile Token is a small cap, right? So this is a micro cap. This is not like Chainlink and Ethereum and Cardano. This is on the Cardano ecosystem. So it's Boss. I think it's pretty cool, but this is a much higher risk coin than like a Chainlink or a Cardano or a Bitcoin.
Yeah. Susan Shrum says, "Tell him I'm coming over to ask him why he's at the zoo." Yeah. You do need to answer that question, teacher. Let's check out World Mobile Token. Coming back up and hitting the same highs we hit back in December. Now, these are not crazy high levels. We're not back to all-time high. In fact, we need to make quite a push to get back to and surpass all-time high 74% before we get back there. It's definitely doable for World Mobile Token. I mean, we're only charting it since back in June of 2022. But let's take a look at what we have going on. Just the fact that we're approaching these former resistance levels, I'm just going to go ahead and let you know, like, there's just a lot of resistance sitting there. In fact, I will not be surprised if I turn on the fixed range volume and we're going to see this be a value area high or a point of control or something. If my chart wants to load for us,
come on, chart.
Slow. I don't know why it's doing this. Let's try this again. Maybe is it because this one doesn't have volume? Oh, it's not registering volume. I'm going to have to go to this one on Tether.
There you go.
Yeah, now I have some volume. Now it should work. All right. Good to know. Still same prices, just you have to find a different chart here. Let's see what we have going on here. Yeah, value area high. So getting a little higher. It says that there's a chance we pass this high of around 20 cents and get up to about 21-ish, 22 cents. First thing we're looking at right there. Now let's pull up. We have not used any of it today because we've done such macro TA. We're going to pull up Lux Algo, a sponsor of the channel. If you guys are serious about trading, you got to get Lux Algo. Fun fact, we've done 4 of those community trades now. We are trading nothing but using Lux Algo. We just use the Lux Algo indicators. We decide what we want to long, short. You guys give a suggestion on the coin and the leverage. We are 4 for 4. Most recent winner, Eric Wallen, we had to use $20 because the leverage was low, but we turned $20 into $50 in a trade with a community post using Lux Algo. Go check out the link down below if you want to make some money. We're hitting take profit here on the daily chart, T-Shroom, when we come back over here. So keep an eye on that for sure. That's the first thing I'm looking at here. I am 100% positive there was an order block here that we have fulfilled. In fact, if I were to go replay and come back here a little bit, let's check this out to confirm or deny. But yeah, we had a little order block right in here that we fulfilled when we hit play and we moved in through it. I don't want to do the replay anymore. Let's get rid of this. Either way, we are in our take profit, which does lead me to believe that take profit does come up to that $21 level, the same level that we were looking at for that point of value area high. There's another order block coming here at that same level, so another reason to potentially look for a push to that level. Let's see what our oscillators are saying. 72% overbought. Our money flow is still positive with excessive buyers climbing. We're above the threshold, and the red reversal that came in here with the bearish momentum didn't do anything to the price action. Cooled off slightly, but nothing major. We're back in bullish momentum right there. So Lux Algo at the moment on the daily chart saying we are not done. Let's see what the 4-hour chart is saying here, though, for the next little bit. This one, money flows flowing. It's in the red, but it's getting back to being positive. We did get a red reversal, and it does look like the oscillator is slowing down with being 100% oversold. So could be slowed down here as we get that momentum X right there with the bullish momentum, or sorry, the take profit level being hit. Yeah, we could see it slow down over the next couple of days, but do not be surprised if there's still a trickle. And we kind of talked about this. There's a little more action for Bitcoin to play out. There's more action for Ethereum to play out. There's more action for altcoins as a whole to play out, and World Mobile Token is one of those. I'm not in a spot where I'm thinking you guys should be buying long term on World Mobile Token right now. But if you're saying, oh, should I take profit right now because this is the top, I'm seeing some signs suggest that we might slow down here over the next couple of days, but a little more pumpage coming, possibly up above 21 cents. That's what I'm seeing on World Mobile Token. Let's do one more question, and we'll call it a wrap for the day.
Well, I have pulled up PNG. So PNG, Paul B shouted it out. Yep. I've got it pulled up here. I've got the 4-hour chart, and taking a look here, you can see that this thing has something changed on February 24th. I don't know what it is, but there you go. I'm sorry. the 22nd of February, 2024. So something changed.
Are you on log chart?
And no, I'm not. I'm not on log chart.
But I mean, that's good to know from a linear perspective.
Mm-hmm. And it is up 450%. Now, this project, another small cap, right? Now, not quite as small cap as World Mobile. Actually, I don't know. But you can see the rest of the price history here. Now, there was a pretty big spike here. Goodness gracious. This is at a long and storied.
Put it on log so we can get a good look at this.
Let's go ahead and put it on log.
Let's go ahead and put it on log.
Let's go ahead and put it on log. And that does not look. Do you think that looks better, Tim?
That is not. Hit now the auto. Yeah, that's better. That's better.
Yeah. So the Bollinger Bands get a little crazy here. Let me throw on Lux and see what we can't pull out here. So, yeah, it's been up in the reversal zones before. It's definitely no stranger to those, and that is where it's camped out right now. This is again PNG, and as you can see on the 4-hour, this thing is still looking pretty bullish. Now, and this has been a pretty consistent pattern of move up and then a retracement and then a move up. So right now we're in that move up phase. So I would say there's probably going to be a consolidation lower, getting back and touching that midline of the Lux reversal cloud. That has been pretty consistent. Okay, so that is jumping out at me as, hey, pay attention to this. So a move down probably around 4 cents, 0.405 is probably a decent zone to reaccumulate for a trade. As far as a project, I have no idea what this is pretty much at all. It's on Coinbase Exchange, so it's been pretty adopted pretty well. It looks like it's on AVAX, so it's an AVAX ecosystem coin. It's on Trader Joe. It's only on C Chain, so it doesn't look like it's on ETH or Binance. That's interesting. Potentially, that TIK's bullish in my mind. And it's an exchange. So Pangolin exchange. It's a multi-chain decentralized cryptocurrency exchange. It's a DEX on the Avalanche network. Through advanced tooling and deep liquidity and smooth onboarding, Pangolin offers swaps and great experiences. Cool. So, I mean, it doesn't look bad. Do they have like, oh man, look at this. So fully doxed team right here on CoinMarketCap. I think this might be a new feature. Have you seen this, Tim, where they just dox everybody?
I haven't really ever looked into that, but I don't know if it's new or not, honestly.
This is
good to know.
It looks like a newer feature, which is great. I really applaud CoinMarketCap for adding this feature or having it more prominent. They may have had this feature for a while, but there's also a chance Pangolin's the only ones taking advantage of it because a lot of times it's the projects that are inserting the data anyway. You're looking at your market cap here coming under 100 million. That's the big speculation for me, right? Because if you're or speculation, that's the big hesitance for me because if you're someone who only invests in Avalanche, Chainlink, Solana, and you're scared to go, below the 1 billion mark, this is below 1 billion, right? So this is something to keep in mind. It's not even 100 million, right? So keep that in mind. But I mean, overall, this doesn't look like a bad project in my mind. PNG.
Yeah, I mean, the truth is, it looks like it could just be getting started here. Now, I told T Shroom to go back to the linear. Someone asked in chat what's different between linear and logarithmic. Linear is literally this is just every single cent is equal length. When you go logarithmic, it takes things into perspective because look at this. So if I'm on logarithmic, look at how tight the Fibonacci levels are between the 1 and the 0.236. And we just spent so much time down here. It's because it's giving weight to the more of the price action happening down here to show you the differential in percentages. But in reality, when you look at the linear, it stayed in such a tight range for so long. We're just now kind of getting back up towards that 0.382. But when I'm looking at this T-Shroom, I think this is one. It was so dead for so long, and it's now exploding. We're a little less than a 3x away from getting back to all-time highs. I think this is one that I'm not saying that you don't see any type of retracement here, but I think this is one that potentially could be a more interesting coin to get invested in. I like what I'm seeing here. Look at the oscillators. The oscillators were just in the red for so long, like very few days are in green money flow. We're aggressively shooting back up to cross back to being bullish. Now, the oscillator's high, so there'll be some movement, but I think you could see a resetting happen where the oscillator drops, the price actually goes sideways. I like what I see on this chart. Again, not financial advice to say go buy a bunch of it right now, but there's enough here on this chart to say this is an interesting one of a coin that borderline looked like it was dead here between the time period of May 2022 to more recent. it's coming alive, and it's coming alive in a very explosive manner. Could be very interesting.
Yep. It's got a, fully diluted market cap of 105 million. It has a defined max supply. It's over 90% circulated supply. These are all positive checks in my book.
I like that. I like those tokenomics. Yeah, I'm this. If we had that list up here, this would go into my. Like, I don't know if I definitely have to have in my portfolio, but like this, if someone put this in their portfolio and said, Tim, what do you think about this selection? I would have nothing bad to say about it.
Yeah. It would get like a percentage or a 0.5% allocation.
Yeah.
Probably not in that 2% category, right? Just because it's such a small cap, but it's not one to ignore. Thank you so much for bringing it to our attention, Paul. Really appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, guys, it is time to wrap it up. It's 4:10. We ran nice and long today, but if you enjoyed the show, go ahead and smash that like button. If you want to talk with me and T-Shirt more, join our free Discord like we mentioned earlier. And I don't know when we're going to announce it, but T-Shirt and I have been talking. We've got some big announcements coming up, some really cool initiatives we want to get going to continue to build this community. We have some partnerships we're going to be joining in with and ideas of ways you can get more involved with what we are doing. Stay tuned and stick around for all of those. We are fastly approaching getting closer to that 10,000 subscriber level. We are about to be at 8,500. Smash the subscribe. Tell your friends. Share this video with everyone you know and get us to 10K here within the next month and a half or so, and we might do something special for that. But with that said, everyone, that's all we have for you in today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. We'll see you in the next one. Adios.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shrooms news, got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.